60-second announcement on many Tampa Bay stations. That's right. We'll put you on the radio for less than the cost of one 60-second announcement on many stations. Check it out today. Use your program to promote yourself, your business, or someone else's business. Call Lola Jean, the broadcast queen, 727-510-7622. That's 510-7622. Call Lola Jean now to check out your Tan Talk network program. In addition to network radio, we'll stream your program in audio and video all over the world. Call Lola Jean now, 727-510-7622. Call today. Your network one-hour program can start tomorrow. Broadcast your message in audio and video on the Tan Talk Radio Network.
This is the Tan Talk Radio Network.
Hey listeners, this is Robert from Nostalgic Radio and Cars. We all love to eat. Well, I would like to tell you about my friends at the Rib Shack Barbecue on West Bay Drive in downtown Largo. Their menu offers family-sized takeout dinners like delicious ribs, chicken, beef, and pork, or sit-down barbecue dinners, sandwiches, and even desserts. They will also cater your party. Everything is barbecued fresh using real oak for that great smoky flavor. So visit my friend Corey at the Rib Shack Barbecue in downtown Largo, West Bay Drive, or call them for a takeout order at 727-501-9090. That's 727-501-9090. They truly have the best smoking barbecue in town. Oh, and be sure and check out their great barbecue sauce. That's the Rib Shack Barbecue in downtown Largo, 727-501-9090. I'm telling Robert from Nostalgic Radio and Cars sent you.
Looking for car shows? Then look no further than FLACarshows.com. On your computer or on your mobile device, FLACarshows.com is a comprehensive list of automotive events, plus videos and news articles. Whether you're looking for car shows, cruise-ins, meetups, automotive festivals, cars and coffees, or anything else relating to an internal combustion engine, then this is a site for you. Check it out online or on your phone at FLACarshows.com.
Paul Newman is Butch Cassidy, and the Sundance Kid is Robert Redford. Catherine Ross is Etta Place.
Dynamite's ready, Butch.
Well, that ought to do it.
Think you used enough dynamite there, Butch?
Most of this is true, and all of it blazes with action. You've never met a pair like Butch and Sundance.
Well, we're back in business, boys and girls.
Outlaws with style, in a class all their own.
You know, when I was a kid, I always thought I was going to grow up to be a hero.
Don't tell me how to rob a bank. I know how to rob a bank.
And anything you ask of me, I'll do. Except one thing. I won't watch you die.
You just keep thinking, Butch. That's what you're good at.
An incredible pair of rugged adventurers, creating a living legend on two continents.
But it's just one guy.
Don't you get sick of being right all the time?
They robbed trains,
Stop it.
looted banks,
Manos arriba. They got him up. Ah, you're so damn smart, you read it.
and one girl shared their love and larceny.
Raindrops keep falling on my head. And just like the guy whose feet are too big for his bed, nothing seems to fit. Those raindrops are falling on my head.
What are you doing?
Stealing your woman?
So
Take her.
I just did.
Boy, you're a romantic bastard, I'll give you that.
Then, Mr. E.H. Harriman of the Union Pacific put the top lawman in the West on their trail.
They're very good. If he'd just pay me what he's spending to make me stop robbing him, I'd stop robbing him.
They were outlaws, running out of time and out of space, and a changing world was closing in on them. From the American West to New York, to the dangerous new frontier of Bolivia.
Bolivia.
Well, he'll feel a lot better after he's robbed a couple of banks.
I'll jump first.
Then you jump first. No, I said. What's the matter with you?
Set the Wayback Machine.
Yes, sir, Mr. Peabody.
Hi, this is Dave Mason, co-founder of the classic band Traffic and writer of a song which you all know called Feeling All Right. And you're listening to Nostalgic Radio and Cars.
I'm assuming we're going to fun. Okay, listeners, welcome. You're tuned into Nostalgic Radio and Cars, and I'm your show host, Robert. Run your computers and Google TanTalk1340.com, and you can see us live here in the studios. Don't forget to check out our website, GulfstreamMotorsports.com, where you can find out all about us. And if you've missed any of our past shows, 500 and, I don't know, a whole bunch of them.
35.
Yeah, 35. Wow, that's a lot. You can visit Nostalgic Radio and Cars. So, good evening, Bobby. How are you?
I'm doing all right. How about you?
Tommy, how you doing there behind the nearly COVID 2021 window there?
I'm doing great. Feeling protected.
Feeling protected. That's good. That's
Excellent.
good. You know, we got some stuff in here just in case. You know,
yes, we're very
we got extra spray. We have our own vaccination. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, sports fans, music fans, we have a great show for you tonight. We have a very, very, very special guest coming on.
Start your engines in there.
Start your gentlemen. Start your record players. Put spin the radio.
Do that.
We haven't done that one. I don't know. Tommy, you're a DJ from back in the day. What'd you guys say? I mean, did you say like besides spin the wheel or drop a needle in the groove? What other kind of radio cliches did they have back in the day?
Drop a little weather in there maybe or something like that?
Weather. Weather. Well, you know, it is cold out, you know. Baby, it's cold outside.
Yeah.
And it's what, freezing up a couple counties north of us, I hear?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Colder as you go home tonight.
Colder as you go north. Yes.
Sorry about that. I meant south.
South, yeah. That's where we're going to follow the birds. We're going to go south. Anyway, all right. So, normally I do something each week. I go to a car show, a swap meet, or something like that. But there hasn't been any car shows or swap meets that I have fit in my schedule because I've been, I don't know, just busy. Anyway, so Leadfoot Cities, wait a minute, is this the third Saturday of the month, third Sunday of the month? It's coming up. Not anywhere near that? Okay, that's right. Today's the first.
Today's the first Tuesday of the month.
Okay, that means
it's actually the first of the month.
It's the first of the month. Okay, so coming this Saturday at a fairground near you up in Sumter County. Sumter County. Sumter County. There goes that. Okay, Sumter County. The Sumter County Fairgrounds swap meet, a good friend, Mr. Pearson up there. And that should be a lot of fun. On the third Sunday of each month is Leadfoot Cities swap meet and car show and drifting thingy and they have live music. Actually, Leadfoot City has done a very, very good job. They've done exactly what we thought they should do. You know, car show, swap meet, a little racing. Apparently they got approved for their drag strip now, so they're going to have, I think, I'm not sure if it's a quarter mile, but probably somewhere around 8th mile drag strip. So that'd be quite a deal. And they're doing other stuff too. They actually have some videos, but Google Leadfoot City and you'll find out more and more about it. Now, over the weekend, last Saturday, over the holidays, hope everybody had a good turkey day. We went to Titusville because I had to appraise a car over there. And while I was over there, a Mercedes-Benz, for example, and you know me, I just can't, no self-respecting junk man can, not find something to throw in the back of the van. See, it's very dangerous for me to have a van or a truck because stuff just, it's like I go down the road and I'm a magnet. Poof, 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 poof. Stuff just sticks to me and winds up in the back. So I had to appraise this Mercedes, and out in the backyard is a fender laying up against the fence with just the very end of it cut off, the important part of it, actually. And it was for a 63 to 69, maybe 70, 71 Mercedes 230, 250, 280 SL Peugeot 113 car. I used to have a couple of those back in the day, but so I said, "What are you doing with that?" He says, "That's junk." And I said, "Well, junk kind of finds its way to me." And I brought it back from Titusville. But while I was over there, I was in this guy's garage. This is a pretty cool old Mercedes-Benz, but one car in particular was kind of neat, and that was a late 60s Mercedes 6-door 600 Pullman.
Nope,
Interesting
look,
car.
you're out of time.
I'm out of time. Okay.
No,
Well, anyway.
You're hooked on a feeling now.
On that note, I think we're going to be... Tommy's laughing. Okay, I just got cut off. Okay. Anyway, I think we're going to fire up the turntable, and we're going to play a little song here, which is a clue. We had 2 clues earlier, and so, hey, you're tuned in to Nostalgic Radio Cars. We'll touch on Bill. We will be right back with our very special guest for the evening.
I can't stop this feeling deep inside of me. Girl, you just don't realize what you do to me. When you hold me in your arms so tight, you let me know everything's alright. I'm hooked on a feeling, high on believing that you're in love with me. So sweet as candy, the taste stays on my mind. Girl, you keep me thirsty for another cup of wine. I got it bad for you, girl, but I don't need a cure. I'll just stay addicted and hope I can endure all the good love when we're all alone. Keep it up, girl. Yeah, you turn me on. I'm hooked on a feeling, high on believing that you're in love with me.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, it's time to introduce our very special guest for the evening. This gentleman is a legendary singer and recording artist with amazing songs like Rock and Roll Lullaby, Hooked on a Feeling, and my personal favorite, Raindrops Keep Falling on My Head. I'm delighted to welcome to Nostalgic Radio Cars this evening, BJ Thomas.
Hey, Robert, how are you doing?
Well, you know what? You have got a record for singing some of the most amazing songs, most memorable songs. In fact, one thing I wanted to point out, too, I was just reading up on you. According to Billboard Records, you are ranked up in the among the top 50 artists whose music gets played on radio over and over and over. That's got to be that's got to be a real honor for you.
Well, that may be right up at the top of the, I can appreciate the longevity of my career, and I've been very lucky, worked with so many great songwriters, some of the best songwriters of my era. But yeah, being in the top 50 most played artists of the last 50 years, that's pretty cool. I enjoyed that myself.
You have an amazing voice. When you were younger, you're, if I recall reading up, you were like around 15 when you kind of recorded your first song, and it was a remake of the Hank Williams song.
Yeah, I was with the band. We got the band together. It wasn't my band; it was our band. There were five of us when we started off, and we just kind of. We would just copy the top 40 chart. It was top 40 radio in those days, and that's kind of what we would do at our dances, kind of thing. And when we got the chance to make our first album, I record right at the end of the session. We had recorded the album one night, and before we, broke down and went home, I said, "Hey, I got to do this song for my dad." And my dad had asked me to do something country on the album, and I wasn't that big of a country enthusiast at that time, although I really loved Hank Williams, Ernest Tubb, and a lot of those great legendary guys. And I always loved Hank Williams, and I had just seen this song in a movie called Your Cheating Heart, which was out when I was a kid, when I was in high school, and I started doing it with my band, the Triumphs. And, somehow it found its way on the radio and became a number one record in Houston, and kind of got me really started.
Did you, like a lot of kids that got into music when you were younger, did you pick up any musical instruments and start playing them at all?
Yeah, I play a little guitar, like you said. I play a little guitar enough to mess around. I've never been really a great player or a great writer, really, but
I enjoy messing with the guitar every now and then.
And then Hooked on a Feeling was, I think, your big hit in 1968, and that was written by Mark James, maybe? I think that's
by Mark James.
Yeah.
Mark James is the guy. Mark and I grew up together, and he gave me a call and told me I should come to Memphis. So I went to Memphis and started recording with Chips Moman in the American Studio Group at American Studio on Danny Thomas Boulevard. I'm not sure it's even there anymore, but it was a great studio, and they cut hit records on just everybody. And I just had Hooked on a Feeling was very instrumental in getting me Raindrops, but it kind of showed Bacharach. I had been working with Mr. Bacharach for a few months. Actually, the label had asked Gloria and I to move up to New York so I could work with Mr. Bacharach. And having the hit record on Hooked on a Feeling kind of helped me. Kind of helped solidify their choice of myself to do the bicycle scene, and just one of the great experiences of my life, really.
When you were doing your songs, now you had a number of hits in the 60s, a number of hits in the 70s, and you kind of vacillated back and forth. I mean, you were kind of like sometimes a pop singer, sometimes a country singer, and then of course later you got into gospel music. But where do you kind of do you like the idea of a label, or do you just like, I'm a really good singer? Does that fit you better? I mean, is that?
Well, it's not really. I'm not really trying to say I'm a good singer either. It's like a personal thing, and as I mentioned, Top 40 Radio. That's kind of where our band. We started playing. That was when I was first in a band, and Top 40 Radio had all the genres on the station. They played, they just played whatever was popular, and that's kind of the way I looked at the material that I recorded. I never really had any idea that I was doing anything genre-wise. I just was trying to do the songs that I really liked and that moved me emotionally. And that kind of turned into, of course, as music progressed over the years, now most every genre has their own radio station. And so, I didn't foresee that. So I never really worried about the genres, but I got involved in a number of different genres.
Well, you have a very distinctive voice. I mean, when your songs come on the radio, right away that's B.J. Thomas. Kind of like if you hear an Elvis song, it's an Elvis.
Yeah.
And you actually had the opportunity of working with Elvis at some point in time, I think, in the early to late 70s or something like that.
Well, sorry, my dog's going off.
Oh, that's okay.
I was living, of course, as I said, in Memphis, Tennessee. And of course, Elvis was he was the big guy there in Memphis and the big guy in the universe, really. But he was a great guy, and of course, I was around him a few times, lucky enough to have been around him. And I think it was probably when I knew Elvis, and we were in a I don't know if you call it a relationship, but we were friends, and he was great to other musicians and other singers. Always treated us great, and it was one of the best times of his life. He was in his best shape, and we were trying to get him. We knew he could have hit records again if he'd just come into American Studio there where we were recording, and we'd been working on his guys and telling them, hey, would you tell Elvis to come down here that they want to record him, and eventually he did, and of course he cut some of the best music of his career.
Well, I think the guy that wrote Hooked on Feeling, Mark James, I think he also wrote one of Elvis's songs. Wasn't it Suspicious Minds or something?
Yeah, he wrote Suspicious Minds, and Mark is one of my best friends and really one of the great writers. He's in all the Hall of Fames you can name, and just a great writer. And I remember when he told me he had written that song for Elvis. I didn't know if he really had a shot of getting in on Elvis or not, but he did, and it turned out really well.
I got to ask you this. Now, you're native. Actually, you were born. According to your bio, now you were born in Oklahoma, and
Yeah.
And then you were raised in Texas. And I know there's this, because I got buddies of mine in Tulsa. Okay. So I know that, and I got buddies of mine in Plano, Texas. So I know there's this Texas, Oklahoma thing going back and forth. But some amazing artists came out of Oklahoma. Leon Russell's from there, and people like that. And Vince Gill. Yeah. And so do you kind of feel like, well, am I a Texan or am I an Oklahoma guy, or does that matter to you, or kind of like, is it just like, hey, it's country music, we're all cool?
Well, really, yeah, it really doesn't. Doesn't matter to to me. Over the years, I've grown to have a great appreciation for Oklahoma, and of course, I've worked up there many times, and I'm in the Oklahoma Hall of Fame. So I've got a real love for Oklahoma, and also Texas. Of course, I grew up in Texas. I only spent a short time in Oklahoma after I was born, but it's a great state. Texas too.
Let me ask you this: when you because you've sung a number of songs, and of course, the Raindrops Falling on My Head. When you originally recorded that song, did you know that song was going to be used in the movie Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, or was it just a song that they gave to you and said, "Hey, you got a great voice. Could you sing this song?"
Yeah, no, I knew it was in the movie. I had been doing the one-nighters in the Midwest, and as I said, I had been working with Mr. Bacharach, and we were looking for an opportunity to record, and nothing was really making itself obvious. But then, of course, they became involved with Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid and writing the score to that. And of course, part of that score was the bicycle scene with Paul Newman and Catherine Ross. And I was there and was working with Mr. Bacharach, and I was selling records, making hit records in Memphis at that time. And so he gave me the shot at the bicycle scene. And I remember flying out to California, did the bicycle scene, and then we re-recorded Raindrops about 6 weeks later for the single version, which was the #1 record.
So you were actually on the set when
they had it filmed already. So they had a big screen in the studio, and they would run the bicycle scene, and we would do the song against that. And was quite an experience.
Interesting. Yeah. Back in the day, when writers and composers got together with songs and they were looking for singers, because obviously they wanted a certain singer that had a certain voice, that had a certain demeanor.
Yeah.
What inspired you to take on certain songs? I mean, did the songs have to mean something to you? Was it an emotional thing, like you kind of referenced earlier?
It kind of did. That the song I had to be able to relate to the song emotionally and feel and kind of be able to believe in that was the one thing I had noticed in my idols, Bobby Bland, Jackie Wilson, these guys growing up, was that they seemed to really believe every word they were singing, and I felt like that was a real major part of performance, was the believability. So I tried to do songs that I did believe in, and that I could put my emotions behind, and that's how I picked. Of course, with Mr. Bacharach, this was the song he had written, and I could tell you, I don't care what kind of song it was, I was going to sing it. I wasn't going to miss this opportunity with Mr. Bacharach, and it turned out well.
Oh, he's legendary. There's no question about that. And at 92, he's still at it.
Just a great guy. I just worked with him a few years ago. We did the bicycle scene for the Paul Newman's charity camps for handicapped children called the Painted Turtle, and they had a big benefit. And Bert and I worked together, and Bert played, and he's just an awesome guy. I'm just so charming and so handsome and so talented. When he sat down at the piano, I mean, no one ever played like that.
Speaking of charities, are there any charities in particular that you associate yourself with?
Oh, well, we will try to be helpful with the ASPCA and rescue animals, and we don't have anything that a driving force, but we try to be helpful when we can.
Back in the day, and I don't like to use this term, but I guess people use it all the time, in your prime, or when you were really like out there. And I've had other musicians on my show before, and I know it's grueling, but it's said, and I read that you toured up to like 300 plus days a year. How do you do that? I mean, it's got to be wear and tear. And then did you travel by bus?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it wasn't easy, although at that time in my life, I was a young guy, and that's all I wanted to do. So, if I hadn't been booked somewhere to do a show, I would have been singing with my friends or something anyway. So we just stayed on the road, all the time. And that's just the way they did it then, And I still love to be on the road because we're getting through this crazy time in our history here on this earth. We feel like that it will come back. The live performance opportunities will come back, and we're looking forward to that.
How often do you get to Florida to do any events, any shows? Are they?
We get to Florida most every year. I'll get to Florida once or twice. So hopefully I'll see you.
Yeah, absolutely. So whereabouts in Florida would you, if you in the past, where are some of the places that you've gone, that you've performed?
I'm not sure I can name them, but
does Ruth Eckerd Hall ring a bell?
Ruth
Eckerd Hall, does that ring a bell? In Clearwater, Florida?
It does. We've worked there, and there's the park. We've worked at numerous parks there in the state, and many theaters over the years. So I really enjoy going there. The villages, and there's lots of great places there to perform.
Okay. Now, when you're on touring, for example, do you have a say-so, or is it your managers that pretty much have to kind of make that call for you? I mean, do you have input there?
Yeah, with where I play when I'm touring.
Yes.
Yeah, I have input, but most of the time, I don't really sit down in one place. I usually move around. I like to do one-nighters and that kind of thing. And, so, hey, when people call you, they want you to perform. You usually are, hey, I'm down for it. So it's not like I'm picking the cities. The cities are kind of picking me, if you know what I mean.
Okay. Gospel music. Now, that was something that you picked up, I think, in the late 70s. So tell us a little bit how you make a transition. Does the theme, the concept, the idea gospel music, or is it just I'm still singing? Tell us about that. Share that.
I'd always done gospel music, even within the confines of my regular recording. I had a song called Mighty Clouds of Joy back in the early 70s, and a song called Dr. God in the mid 70s. And so I was kind of a product by just growing up in that my part of the country. I was a product of Southern gospel music, and it was one of some of my favorite music of all time. And we Gloria and I and our family, we'd kind of had a spiritual awakening in the mid 70s, and it motivated me to record some gospel music, and I actually did succeed with the first four platinum albums in gospel history, and it was just kind of an expression of a newfound importance in our lives. And because I had been through the mill. I mean, I had my problems with the alcohol and drugs and being on the road and just that whole lifestyle. So it was an important thing in my life. I'm not a religious guy at all, but I do have a faith that I live by. And, so I'm not hesitant to do a gospel song if I like it,
Some of your albums, I think you mentioned, have won the Dove Awards. Is that so? Like Grammy is for music, and the Dove Awards is for like gospel music or gospel albums?
Yeah, more or less. And I think my first two albums in gospel, Home Where I Belong and Happy Man, they won Dove Awards. And those first 5 albums, the one that won Grammys, and that's always, that was a wonderful time for me to, have my music nominated. And I had been nominated for "Hooked on a Feeling" and "Wrong Song," but to win those Grammys, that was a beautiful thing for me.
Now, in terms of the gospel music, did you contribute to any of the writing of those songs?
No, not really. But my wife Gloria was a songwriter.
Okay.
She doesn't write that much now, but we are starting to write some. She wrote quite a few of my gospel songs, and it was fun. It was a fun time in my life. But I was involved. So the music was so successful that I began to be perceived as a minister. Or that kind of thing, and I knew I loved to sing the music, but I was not going to be a teacher or a minister or anything. So that after 4 or 5 years, we felt like we had really made a statement that was worthwhile. I kind of went back to just doing basically went to country music then, and I've always been country to a certain degree, and so I love to sing country too.
When you go on tour and you're performing, how long are your sets usually?
I would do an hour and a half.
Okay, and then
that's about the standard length,
All right, how many songs do you usually do in that period of time?
18 maybe.
Okay.
17, 18 songs. I try to do all the songs that have been hits for me, and I'll do a little gospel, and then I've always been a huge fan of R&B music, from my generation, Motown, Stax, that kind of thing. So we do a couple of R&B things just for fun, and we have a good time.
Well, now mentioning, talking about R&B and Motown and some of that early stuff, I was also reading that one of the first performances you ever did was with James Brown.
Yeah.
Tell us about what that was like.
That was my first gig on "I'm So Lonesome I Could Cry." It was the first gig I had that was booked out of Houston. Was with James Brown. And oh man, I idolized those great R&B singers, and James Brown was one of my favorite guys, and he treated us really well. Sometimes some of the the white guys on his tour, the audience would give them a hard time. They would make sure they were up to snuff, and so James he took care of us and kind of took us under his wing, and he was a great guy to us.
And at one point, you also worked with Ray Charles too?
Yeah, I did. I worked with Ray Charles when he was with CBS, so we cut a duet that was a top 10 country thing. And working with Ray Charles was just an incredible experience, and just what an awesome guy, and he just was bigger than life, and just all the things that you can say about somebody like that are so true about him. He was just wonderful.
What was your connection with Dick Clark? Because I know that comes up quite a bit in your bio.
Yeah, well, I was booked after I worked with James for about a week or so. I went up to Cleveland. I worked with some other R&B guys, and then I got an offer from Dick Clark to be on his, I don't know what they call it,
American Bandstand.
Stars. Yeah, and so I went out and I worked with him, and we were friends over the years, and I would see him quite a bit doing his show out in California and working with him on the road. He was fantastic.
A lot of the musicians that you work with, a number of them were sessions musicians, and of course, kind of like they play Leon Russell, for example, and these guys would do backup. But like in your case, did you ever sing along like as a because your voice is amazing? Were you ever used in any songs in terms of like a backup vocal or anything like that?
You know, I never did any backup singing. It was always, it was like they kind of had to bury me in the mix. I tried to do some, but that, you know, I was always, you could tell it was me. So that was that kind of hurt me when I was doing background music. But yeah, I love everything about the studio, man. I mean, that was my favorite part of the music business, if you will. And I loved being in the studio and doing new stuff and different things. And I still do. I'm going into Muscle Shoals, Alabama, as soon as we get out of the pandemic. And I had been scheduled to go in July with Dan Penn and Billy Lawson, two great Hall of Fame songwriters. And so I'm still planning on doing that as soon as I can.
You know, it's interesting you mentioned that. I was up in Birmingham, Alabama, a couple 3-4 weeks ago, because I do appraisals on classic and antique cars and stuff. And I have a customer up there, and I always heard about Muscle Shoals. I mean, some amazing groups went down there. Everybody, I mean, who's been on their list. And the old building is still there, and it's 2 hours from Birmingham. So the next time I go to Birmingham, Alabama, I'm going to go by there, visit that building, and see if I can't get in and just tour the facility, because it's supposed to be incredible.
Yeah, well, the one I'm recording at Wishbone Studio, and I'm sure if you drop by Wishbone, they'd let you come in and look around. No problem.
That'd be cool. Now, you at one point, you explored acting, and you did a movie called Jory, if I remember correctly, and you played a really cool character, but the character didn't have a very good ending. So why don't you tell us a little bit how that all came about?
Yeah, I kind of got killed in the second reel there during Jory down in Mexico, and that was a great experience for me too, working with John Marley, the great actor. And Robbie Benson was Robbie's first film. You know, acting is it's a little tricky, and I love to do it, but I never really pursued an acting career. But I like to do it when I get the chance.
Well, I was curious, so I had to actually watch part of that movie a little bit. You know, where you were showing Robbie Benson how to draw a gun and flip around and all that kind of stuff. And the part in the bar scene stunned me. I thought for sure you're going to take the guy out. And unfortunately, it worked the other way. But then Robbie retaliated for you.
Yeah, I got bumped off. I couldn't believe it. I got killed by, I guess, one of the guys that was out of the Magnificent Seven, but Dexter, I forget his name. But yeah, it was fun. I got it was a very dramatic time for me. Making that movie, because as my father passed away while I was down there, and you know, so I went through a lot of different experiences and emotions making that movie. But it's a great memory for me.
If you were not doing what you're doing, singing and performing, what would have been, let's say, your another choice for you? What other career? What would have been? What's another passion you would have pursued?
Well, you know, I got a semester of junior college, but I'm kind of undereducated. You know, I'm not a college graduate, and that would have benefited me. But you know, just the way I grew up. My dad was a working man. He was a blue collar guy, and that's probably what I would have been. Also, if something else hadn't gotten my attention, I just probably would have been a working man and grew up and lived my life in Houston and just another guy, you know.
Were you ever into cars or motorcycles or anything like that when you were younger?
Yeah, I was into cars. You know, used to love to have a great car. Gloria never would let me have a motorcycle. So,
oh, okay.
Which is probably good. I probably would have wiped out. But of course, my dad, his brothers, they all loved motorcycles, and I was around motorcycles as a kid. And so, yeah, I got the car bug too.
Okay. Anything cool that you had in the past?
Oh, well, I had a great vet. I had a number of Lincolns and, Cadillacs. And, Gloria's first car was a Mercedes, a little Mercedes convertible that I bought her when we lived in Connecticut. And cars are great. right now, of course, they're not that important in the situation we're in right now. But I always love cars and like to have a nice one.
Well, if you need a cool classic, don't forget to keep my name in your little black book, and then you can call me and I'll hook you up with something really cool. But
all right, I'll do it.
Let's say, if what are some of your hobbies that you do nowadays? I know you're a grandfather now. You've got lovely children and they're professionals and stuff. So what are some of the, family life is real important to you, correct?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So we have a great family. If I have time, I play golf. I'll go play some golf. But the pandemic has kind of messed that up too. I just am not getting out much because being in Texas, I mean, it's pretty hot around here for the virus most of the time. So we're, being as careful as we can. But yeah, I love to play golf and, and I love my family.
When you, I think somewhere I was reading that you like to travel every once in a while. So when you've performed, have you performed predominantly in the United States or have you performed overseas as well?
Yeah. I've done overseas. I've done Europe, practically every country in South America. I probably had more hit records in Brazil and Argentina than I had in the States. So I've been very successful down there in South America. So I used to go down there regularly, and I've been down there, 15, 20 times, but I haven't been in a while. Australia, Japan, we've gone to all those places. Beautiful. Mexico, great.
If you look back and you reflect of all the people that you've kind of worked with, are there still some people on your list that you would still like to sing with, do a duet, or perform on stage with?
Well,
that are still around. That are still around.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure there's still people left that I would like to work with. We may bring one or two folks in when we do the thing in Muscle Shoals, but we'll see how it plays out. That's the one thing about music. There are so many great singers and entertainers. And there's always somebody great to meet and to know and to record with, and it's just been a great way of life for me. And I'm sure there's some people left I need to work with, so I'll try to get that done.
Would you say that like the music that you hear today, are there any influences that have that kind of like, because one question I always ask musicians and singers is, when you know what you sing and you know what you like and you know what kind of like what your audience likes, but what else do you like to listen to? In other words, if you're not listening to your own music and maybe some of your good friends, what type of music do you kind of tune into? Is it like very broad? Is it anything specific, or what do you like to listen to?
Yeah, no, it's I've got a stereo and I've got records, so I'll play some Marvin Gaye or Beatles or some. I'm kind of old school. I like my generation of music, 50s, 60s, 70s, and so I still listen to a lot of that. And but I like classical music and all that too. And I like very much of a lot of the current music too. So it's music's always changing. Somebody's new, somebody's younger, somebody's got to doing something a little different, that kind of thing. So that's what keeps it interesting.
Anybody in your family, were they influenced by you? Did they decide to kind of like pick up and follow in your footsteps, so to speak? Any of your children, any of your grandkids have an interest?
Yeah, maybe. I think my oldest grandchild, Nadia, she's 15, I guess, and she's really a great singer. Got a great throat, a great sound in her when she sings. So she may do something with it, but I never really pushed any of my children to be involved in music, because I know how tough it can be if you don't have the burning desire to do it. And I'm sure that goes along with any profession. Then I don't want them to just be in music because they're my child. I want them to do it because they really want to do it. Really, none of them really had the burning desire, and I was kind of glad about that. That they could, have a more normal lifestyle. But you never know what's going to happen. They're still young. They could go music anytime.
Well, you certainly have the connections, and you certainly have the talent. And if they decide to pursue it, obviously you can kind of coach them along the way. There's no question about that.
I will. Yeah, if they need it, if they want it.
One question I wanted to ask you, I forgot. A lot of your songs that you did in the early days were basically covers, and you basically took those songs and just did a great job with them. Those songs, when, like, for example, let's just say the Hank Williams song, for example, I'm so lonely I could cry.
I'm so lonesome I could cry.
So lonesome, exactly. When that record, did that first come out as a single for you?
Yeah, it came out as a single on a local label in Houston, and Scepter Records picked me up through Steve Tyrell was a guy I grew up with, and he was working with Scepter out of New York City at that time. And when the song went #1, Scepter picked it up. Otherwise, I was on local labels, certain things like that. But yeah, Lonesome was my first single. The first really, I'd had a number of singles out locally. I was kind of a local guy, and hey, sometimes I would make a fair record, sometimes I wouldn't. But the radio would always kind of give us a chance. And Lonesome was really the first one that I cut that really had what it took to be a hit.
Now, did you, in those days when you were cutting records, did you actually have to go around to radio stations and talk to the DJs and say, hey, look, could you play my record here? Could you spin it a few times for me? Did you have to go through any of that?
Oh, absolutely. Oh, yeah. I knew all the disc jockeys, by their first names, and they knew me. And, I always would go in the back door late at night, go up and talk with them. And we were all friends. We admired them, and we knew that, we were very interested in them playing our records. So we made a point of getting to know those guys. I still have friends today that I talk to, on the phone and see as often as I can, who are, one of my best friends is a top 40 DJ from that time, from 60 on. And so, I still know some of those guys. But yeah, I knew all those guys. I'd take them up my record. And that's what happened with Lonesome. I took them up the record, and we thought the other side of Lonesome. We just put Lonesome on the record for my dad. We had no hint that it was a hit record thing. And anyway, I played the A side for my buddy Bob White, Joe Ford, and those guys with KILT and K News Radio in Houston, and they said, well, I don't think we can play this on BJ. So let's hear the other side while you're here. So we turned it over, and I'm So Lonesome was on the other side, and it just hit them just right. They put it on the radio, went #1 in 3 weeks, and got this thing going,
Wow, that's just incredible. So your story is true too. So basically, you had to go in the evening, late at night, when the disc jockey that had the graveyard shift, basically, and then he would slide it in for you.
Yeah, but sometimes we'd put a suit, we'd put a tie on, and we'd go see them in the daytime. And I was just thinking the other day about this. Every time the Beatles would come out with a new record, we would go. We were lucky enough. We were in the business. We would get some of the first copies, and we would take those Beatle albums and go around to these 50,000 watt stations around Houston, and give them the album if they would play our song for a week. And so we would do that kind of I don't know if that's exactly payola or not, but we would trade to get some airplay. And it worked a lot of times. And again, of course, the DJs, we were all buddies, and they were anxious to play our stuff and hoped it would be good. And, they were always supporting us in a good way.
And I know you're pressed for time here, but one more question. When in the early days, do you often reflect to say, wow, it was really, really cool coming up, playing in the local clubs and stuff like that, and in my own little neighborhood there, and it was just had a kind of a homey feeling, and now here it is, 50 years later, you're kind of back doing that kind of again, and does it kind of bring you home?
Yeah, absolutely. We stay kind of. We kind of have that base as the real obvious part of what we've always done. All the years, the 50 years or 60 or however long I've been around, I've always been, trying to stay in good shape, getting ready to go to a show, driving to the show. I mean, it's all the same. It's from the time I started till right now. It's all about shaving and getting ready to do the show and being on time, and so it's not a lot has changed since I was in the little band I started with.
Well, BJ, if people want to find out more about you, how do they go about doing it? How do people connect with you a little bit? And are you on?
We've got a great Facebook page, and we've got a great PR and management team out of Nashville. You can come on the Facebook page and also bjthomas.com, and you get my schedule, or we reschedule a bunch of stuff. We'll start putting the dates on there when they become real again, and you can find me that way.
Wow. Well, BJ, I want to thank you again very much for taking some time out and hanging out with us, and and congratulations too, because Raindrops Keep Falling on My Head is in the Grammy Hall of Fame. I guess there's an organization that for albums that they basically have their own Hall of Fame as well. And songs.
Yeah, for albums and singles and things like that. So we went at it as a group. It was the record, Raindrops, Mr. Bacharach, Hal David, and myself. We went in as a group. So it really was significant and something I'm really proud of.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'm a big fan of yours, a big fan of your music, and I wish you the best of luck. And again, I want to thank you very much for coming on Nostalgic Radio and Cars this evening with us.
Man, I appreciate you supporting me like this, and I really enjoy talking to you, and we had a lot of fun, and thanks to everybody out there listening, and thank you very much.
Okay. Well, best of luck to you, and if you come to Clearwater, Florida, don't forget to look us up.
Okay, buddy, I will, Robert. Thank you, man.
Hey, have a good Christmas and a good New Year, too.
Okay, buddy, you the same.
Thank you. I want to thank my special guest, BJ Thomas, legendary singer and Grammy Award winner, and just an all-around super nice guy. It's funny because a lot of times in these interviews, I make my notes and stuff, and I always forget to ask certain stuff because I'm making notes as you go along. But anyway, it was a real treat to have BJ Thomas on our show live. And pretty impressive. He's got some great songs. Be sure and check out his Facebook page, and go see the movie Butch Cassidy, Sundance Kid, and see the Raindrops Keep Falling on My Head scene in there. It's kind of cool. And in fact, it was funny because he's riding around on a bicycle, and it kind of threw me off originally because I thought it was an old Western, and then so I'm guessing it's probably somewhere around the turn of the century, the beginning of the industrial age, with bicycles and stuff like that. So, but hey, stick around for Nostalgic Radio and Cars. Don't forget to tell your friends to tune in here every Tuesday night between 7 and 8 p.m. on the Tan Talk Radio Network. Now, for the rest of this year, if we can, we're going to kind of try to round up some more musicians and stuff. And we're kind of on this musical kick right now. It actually started in October with Rocktober. And so we sent out our feelers earlier in the year, and we're just now getting some feedback. So hopefully, with a little luck, we'll have some musical guests, some very well-known musical guests on the show for the rest of the year. So stick around. Always check out our Facebook page, our Instagram, follow us on LinkedIn. And, hey, hopefully we'll see you in some of the car shows around here. Don't forget, Leadfoot Cities, 3 weeks, and then Sumter County Fairgrounds, car shows, swap meets, car junkie like me. In the meantime, everybody stay safe, drive carefully, and love your family.
Week to week, day to day, hour to hour, day straight, deep and wide. Break on through to the other side. Break on through to the other side. Break on through, break on through, break on through, break on through. Hey, 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 hey.
WTAN, Clearwater,
FM 106.1,
WDCF, Dade City,
FM 102.3,
WZHR, Zephyr Hills,
FM 104.3.
Listen.
This is CBS News on the Hour, your home for original reporting.
I'm Steve Futterman in Los Angeles. With Americans set to start getting a COVID vaccine